The projections look solid.
Agreed. The efficiency gains are key.
Let's proceed. Excellent. I signed a contract marriage with a Korean Mafia CEO to save my mother's life. He thought I was desperate.
He needed a wife for 6 months to secure his inheritance. I needed $300,000 to save my mother's life. The contract was 47 pages long. He signed it without reading past page 12. Clause 7, buried on page 28 in dense legal language, gave me 51% ownership of his billion-dollar company if he violated my dignity. He thought I was desperate, powerless, just a temporary prop in his rich boy games. He was half right. I was desperate. But I was also a corporate lawyer who knew exactly what I was doing. And by the time he realized what Clause 7 meant, it was too late. My name is Thandive, and I'm from Johannesburg, South Africa. I moved to Seoul 5 years ago to work as a corporate lawyer at an international law firm. Good job, good apartment, good life. Then my mother got sick. Stage 4 cancer. Treatable, but expensive. The kind of expensive that insurance doesn't fully cover. The kind that requires experimental treatments, specialist care, and hope measured in hundreds of thousands of dollars. $250,000, the doctor in Johannesburg told me over a scratchy video call. That's what we need for the full treatment protocol. Without it, she has maybe 6 months. I had $30,000 in savings. I'd sent most of my salary home over the years to help my younger siblings through university. I had no family wealth to draw on. No secret trust fund. Nothing. I was drowning in desperation when Kang Jae-won walked into my law firm. He was exactly what you'd imagine when you think Korean CEO. Expensive suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Designer watch that could fund my mother's treatment 3 times over. Cold, calculating eyes that looked at people like numbers on a spreadsheet. I need a contract wife, he said, sitting across from me in the conference room. No greeting. No small talk. Just straight to business. I blinked. Excuse me. My grandfather's will states I must be married by my 36th birthday or I lose my inheritance to my cousin. I have 4 months. I need someone to play the role for 6 months, attend some family events, fool my relatives. After 6 months and I secure the inheritance, we divorce quietly. You get paid. Everyone wins. He slid a piece of paper across the table. A number written on it. $300,000. My hands started shaking. Why me? I asked. You're foreign. You have no connections to Seoul's social circles. After this is over, you can leave Korea, and there's no risk of our paths crossing again. You're also a lawyer, so you can draft the contract yourself. Less people involved. It was cold, clinical, completely transactional. It was also my mother's life. I'll draft the contract, I said. You'll review and sign. Payment upon completion of 6 months. He stood up. Fine. I need it by Friday. Then he left. Didn't even shake my hand. I spent 3 days drafting that contract. 47 pages of the most detailed marriage agreement in legal history. On the surface, it looked like what he wanted. Payment terms. Behavior requirements during public appearances. Divorce timeline. Confidentiality clauses. But I'd been a corporate lawyer for 8 years. I knew how to bury dangerous clauses in boring language. Clause 7 appeared on page 28, surrounded by mundane provisions about household duties and guest protocols. It read, in the event that Party A, Kang Jae-won, breaches terms of emotional respect, dignity, or subjects Party B, Thandive Kosi, to racism, discriminatory treatment, abuse, or inhuman conditions, Party B shall receive 51% controlling ownership of Kang Industries as liquidated damages for reputational and emotional harm. This provision acknowledges that such breaches cannot be adequately remedied through monetary compensation alone. I buried it in legal jargon, made it sound like standard boilerplate, surrounded it with clauses about towel replacement schedules and thermostat preferences. Did I think I'd use it? Honestly, no. It was insurance. Protection. A way to ensure he'd treat me with basic human decency for 6 months. I didn't know he'd make it necessary. Jae-won came back to sign the contract on Friday afternoon. He had his assistant with him, a nervous young man who kept apologizing for his boss's rudeness. Just show me the important parts, Jae-won said, not even sitting down. I walked him through pages 3 to 12. Payment structure, public appearance requirements, the divorce timeline, confidentiality, and the rest, he asked, tapping his Rolex impatiently. Standard legal provisions, household arrangements, dispute resolution, the usual boilerplate that protects both parties. He barely glanced at the remaining 35 pages. I don't have time for this, he muttered. Just tell me where to sign. I showed him. He signed. His assistant notarized. Just like that, I became his contract wife. And he became the owner of a ticking legal time bomb he didn't know existed. Jae-won's penthouse was in Gangnam. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul. Minimalist furniture that looked expensive but uncomfortable. Everything white, black, or gray. No warmth. No personality. Like a hotel suite where no one actually lived. Your room, he said, pointing to a bedroom down the hall from the master. Don't touch anything in the main apartment. Don't move my things. Don't act like you live here unless we have guests. I do live here, I pointed out. No. You're staying here temporarily for a business arrangement. There's a difference. He showed me a closet full of clothes. Designer dresses, shoes, accessories. For public appearances. You need to look the part. Don't embarrass me. That was our first conversation as husband and wife. The first month wasn't terrible. We barely saw each other. He left for work before I woke up. Came home after I went to bed. On weekends, I stayed in my room. He stayed in his. We attended exactly 3 events together. A charity gala. A business dinner. His parents' anniversary party. At each event, he was charming to everyone else. Cold to me. He'd hold my hand for photos, then drop it the second the camera turned away. But it was bearable. 6 months. I could endure anything for 6 months for my mother. Then month 2 arrived, and his mask started slipping. It started small. We attended a family dinner at his aunt's house. Wealthy relatives, all very polite on the surface, all clearly wondering who I was, and why Jae-won had married someone so unexpected. His aunt asked, in Korean, which I understood better than I let on, she's very exotic. Where did you find her? Jae-won laughed. Actually laughed. A business arrangement, he said in Korean, like I wasn't sitting right there. Don't worry. She's temporary. I felt my face burn. But I smiled. Ate my food. Played my role. That night, I confronted him. You told your family this is temporary. The contract says we're supposed to convince them it's real. He shrugged. They'll believe what they need to believe. Stop being so sensitive. Week 3 of month 2, he started bringing women to the penthouse. The first time, I was reading in the living room. He walked in with a beautiful Korean woman in a tight dress. They stopped when they saw me. Oh, he said flatly. You're still up. I live here, I reminded him. Right. He turned to the woman. Don't mind her. She's the help. They went to his bedroom. I sat in the living room, humiliated, listening to them laugh behind his closed door. It happened 3 more times that month. The 5th time, I'd had enough. The contract doesn't prohibit fidelity, I said the next morning. But basic respect. You're not my real wife, he interrupted. The contract says nothing about my personal life. You're being paid $300,000 to show up at events and keep quiet. So keep quiet. He was right. The contract didn't specify fidelity. I'd been so focused on protecting my dignity, I hadn't thought about his behavior outside public events. But the worst was yet to come. Month 3. A corporate dinner. Jae-won's business partners and their wives. One of the partners asked about me. How we met. How long we'd been together. Jae-won, 3 drinks in, answered with a smirk. I needed someone low profile who wouldn't get ideas about staying. Someone who'd be grateful for the opportunity. The partner looked uncomfortable. I see. With her, Jae-won continued, gesturing at me with his wine glass. I don't have to worry about gold digging. What would she even do with my money? Send it back to her village. The table went quiet. I excused myself to the bathroom. Locked the door. Recorded the entire conversation I'd just heard on my phone's voice memo app. I'd started recording everything 2 weeks earlier. Every dinner. Every event. Every casual racism masked as jokes. Evidence. Month 4. His inheritance finalized. The money transferred. Suddenly, he was untouchable. And he knew it. 2 more months, he said one morning, coffee in hand, looking at me with open disdain. Then you're gone, and I never have to see your face again. That weekend, he hosted a party. 30 people. Expensive liquor. Loud music. I stayed in my room until I needed water from the kitchen. Big mistake. Jaewon was in the living room, drunk, surrounded by his friends. There she is, he called out when he saw me. My 6-month African rental. His friends laughed. Some looked uncomfortable. But they laughed. Rental? One of them asked. Contract marriage, Jaewon explained, slurring slightly. Needed a wife for inheritance purposes. Found the most convenient option. She gets paid, I get my money, and in 2 months, she disappears back to wherever she came from. He raised his glass. To temporary solutions. They drank to that. I stood in the kitchen doorway, phone in my pocket, recording everything, and I decided, enough. The next morning, I walked into Jaewon's home office where he was nursing a hangover. We need to talk about Clause 7, I said calmly. He looked up, annoyed. What clause? Page 28 of our contract. I don't remember page 28. What about it? I pulled out my printed copy of the contract and placed it on his desk, open to the relevant page. You've violated it repeatedly. Public humiliation. Racist remarks. Emotional abuse. All documented. All witnessed. He squinted at the page, trying to read through his hangover. Then he started laughing. You think you can blackmail me? Threaten me with what? I'll pay you a little extra to go away quietly. I don't want extra money, I said. According to Clause 7, I now own 51% of Kong Industries. Effective immediately. The laughter died. You can't. You signed it. Your lawyer notarized it. It's legally binding. His face went from hungover pale to furious red. You sneaky, you buried that in there intentionally. You tricked me. I put it in a contract that you signed without reading. That's not trickery. That's your negligence. He stood up so fast his chair fell backward. I'll fight this. I'll get the best lawyers in Seoul. I'll prove you manipulated me, took advantage. With what evidence? I asked calmly. You're a successful CEO. I'm a corporate lawyer. You asked me to draft a contract. I did. You signed it without reading the full document. That's on you. I pulled out my phone and played one of the recordings. His voice clear as day. What would she even do with my money? Send it back to her village. His face went white. I have hours of these, I said. Witnesses at every event. Your own friends heard you call me your 6-month rental. Multiple violations of Clause 7, all documented, all provable in court. You recorded me without consent. South Korea is a one-party consent jurisdiction for recordings. I was present at all of these conversations. They're admissible. I'd done my legal homework. He sank into his chair. What do you want? He asked, voice hollow. What the contract states. 51% of Kong Industries. Jaewon lawyered up. The biggest, most aggressive corporate law firm in Seoul. They tried everything. Claimed the clause was unconscionable. Argued it violated public policy. Suggested I'd forged the document after the fact. Accused me of fraud and manipulation. But I drafted that contract perfectly. Every clause was enforceable. Every provision carefully worded within legal bounds. The judge, a stern woman in her 60s, reviewed everything over 3 hearings. Evidence of Jaewon's racism, check. Evidence of public humiliation, check. Evidence of emotional abuse, check. His signature on a contract he admittedly didn't fully read, check. Mr. Kong, the judge said at the final hearing, you are a successful CEO. You make million-dollar decisions daily. You signed a legal contract without reading it thoroughly. That is negligence, not fraud. You then violated the terms of that contract repeatedly. Ms. Nkosi is entitled to the remedies specified in the agreement you signed. The gavel came down. 51% of Kong Industries was now mine. Jaewon's parents were in the courtroom. His father looked like he'd aged 10 years. His mother was crying. You gave away the company to a contract wife, his father said, voice shaking. How could you be so careless? She tricked me. Jae-won protested. She drafted a legal contract that you signed. His father shot back. This is your fault. Yours. The board of directors called an emergency meeting. With 51% ownership, I had controlling interest. I had voting power. I had the ability to remove Jae-won as CEO if I wanted. Everyone expected me to destroy him. The boardroom was silent when I walked in. 12 directors, all staring at me. The foreign woman who'd just taken control of their company. Jae-won sat at the head of the table, looking defeated. I stood. I'm not here to ruin anyone, I said clearly. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here because I was treated as less than human by someone who thought I had no power, no voice, no value. I looked directly at Jae-won. You saw a desperate woman and thought you could use her however you wanted. You thought the $300,000 bought you the right to dehumanize me. You were wrong. I turned to the board. I'm offering to sell back 50% of the company to Mr. Kang for $1. I'll retain 1% as a permanent reminder. He'll remain CEO. The company continues as before. Shock rippled through the room. But there are conditions, I continued. 1. Mandatory diversity and inclusion training for all executives. 2. Mr. Kang publicly apologizes for his treatment of me. 3. Kong Industries will fund cancer treatment programs in South Africa. $5 million annually. I paused. These aren't negotiable. Accept them, or I remain majority shareholder and we make much bigger changes. Jae-won looked at me with something like disbelief. Why? He asked hoarsely. Why not just destroy me? You have every right. Because I'm not you, I said simply. I don't destroy people for revenge. I change systems so no one else gets treated the way I was. I make sure this kind of abuse has consequences, but also that those consequences lead to growth, not just destruction. The board voted unanimously to accept my terms. The public apology happened at a press conference. Jae-won stood at a podium, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. I treated my contract wife with cruelty and racism, he said to a room full of journalists. I abused my power. I saw her desperation and exploited it. I'm deeply sorry. I'm committed to being better. It made national news. The cancer treatment program saved 127 lives in its first year, including giving my mother 3 more years. She passed peacefully, surrounded by family, with dignity and without pain. Jae-won changed. Slowly, but genuinely. The diversity training wasn't just for show. He started going to therapy. Started examining his prejudices. Started treating people, all people, with basic respect. He personally donated $1 million to the cancer program last year. We're not friends. We'll never be friends. But we're allies of a sort. I attend every board meeting. I vote on every major decision. We speak politely, professionally. And every time he sees me in that boardroom, he remembers. He remembers that the woman he underestimated, the woman he thought was powerless, the woman he treated as disposable, she's the one who taught him his most expensive lesson. Never underestimate desperation. It makes people creative. Never underestimate intelligence. It makes people dangerous. And never, ever sign a contract without reading it. Especially not one drafted by a woman you've underestimated. Like if you believe in using intelligence over revenge. Subscribe for more stories where the underdog wins. Comment, what clause would you have buried in a contract marriage? See you in